Hello, I'm Dr. Jeanette Raymond, psychologist, psychotherapist, and relationship expert. I'm going to talk to you today about mother-daughter entanglements and all the stress they cause and how to ease yourself out of it if you are the daughter. So I'm going to talk to you, the daughters in their late teens and early adulthoods who are very tangled up in relationships with their mother and can't find a way out. And I'm going to do that by giving you an example of a mother and daughter that I have worked with on this issue. So in this case, the daughter is the youngest in the family, and mother's a single mother, so she brought up two daughters. The eldest is now married and the youngest is still at home. Always been her mother's champion, taking care of the mother when she was sick and needing companionship because she was on her own, working, bringing up a family. It was very hard. And this girl always took care of her mother in one very particular way. She kept her own needs and feelings bottled up, never spoke about them, and her whole focus was on taking her mother's side when family issues brought stress, trying to ease her life, do things for her to show that she was important, and so on. Well, as you can imagine, there came a time when the daughter in her early 20s wanted to have a life of her own. Although she had enjoyed having a role to play in terms of her mother needing her, she came to a point where she wanted to find a life for herself, and it wasn't important anymore that her mother needed her. So her role in that respect kind of died a natural death. But the mother wasn't ready. She wanted things to stay the same. She wanted her daughter to continue to be the one she could rely on, who could be there for her to talk to and comfort her and always be, there when things were going wrong or she needed to be taken care of if she was sick or whatever. And everything came to a head when the daughter started to talk about her own needs and her own feelings. Her mother had never heard that before, even though she tried to encourage them. So now, when the daughter started talking about herself as a separate individual, not just an extension of her mother, the mother got very anxious and stressed, and the daughter got angry because her points of view and her needs were being dismissed, and the mother tried to maintain the status quo while the daughter was fighting it. So they were both engaged in the struggle to come out of their codependent relationship. How were they codependent? Well, the mother was dependent on her younger daughter for companionship, someone to talk to, be there, be taken care of when she was sick or tired, or she needed to be championed against other family members and at work. And the daughter had a codependent relationship with her mother because she didn't need to make friends outside the house. She didn't need to take care of her needs to be grown up, to be a feminine sexual person, to find her way in the world, to make her own living, etc. So that was how the codependent relationship existed, and the mother basically paid for everything, so the daughter didn't need to go out and work and take care of herself. So they would have these constant fight to try and separate, and then they would feel so lonely and so bad and so guilty and so ashamed and so terrified of being alone that they would resume their codependent relationship like this and go back to the status quo. And then it would be suffocating for the daughter, and she'd want to do her own thing and speak her own mind, have her own feelings, and the mother would get alarmed because then the rug was be pulled out from under them. So how does a daughter in this kind of situation work her way out of it without losing her mother and without feeling guilty that she's left her in the lurch, because that's what happens in these kind of codependent relationships. The daughter has to, and here's the evidence, the message I'm giving other daughters as well. You really have to understand that you have a right and you're entitled to have your own opinions, experiences, needs, and wishes. And it's okay for you to do them separately from your mother. If you don't, then you're always going to be in this love-hate relationship where you take care of each other either by the mother paying for everything and the daughter, taking care of everything else. And that doesn't allow the two of them to grow while still having a connection of love and respect and value. So number one, the daughter needs to begin her own independent experience by finding a job that's just for herself. And if she's living with her mother, she needs to pay some kind of rent, she needs to take on some responsibilities and not wait for the mother to force her into it as a form of punishment, because that's what mothers do in codependent relationships. They get so angry that their daughters are wanting to be separate that they start to punish them. They take away things that they're paying for. They make them work in the house, but they didn't before because they were getting the care and the attention. So in return, they were saying, you don't need to work, you don't need to pay for everything. That's the deal. So we have to kind of separate those two things out. Each party needs to pay for whatever it is they're responsible for. And that begins the initial independent separation, because otherwise money becomes the way of snaring you, and taking it away becomes the act of punishing you when you want to separate. So avoid that at all costs. Pay for yourself, get your own job, take care of your own personal expenses, and separate that out from your mother. Next, try to get a place of your own, even if it's with a friend. Avoid living with the parent that you're codependent with, because that's going to make it impossible for you to separate, because the guilt and the anxiety of making those kind of changes and what it's going to do to the relationship will be so overwhelming that once again you'll go back to this place where you're like this, and you need each other and you're taking care of each other in different ways, and then you'll fight because it gets suffocating, and so on and so on and so on. So, own expenses, pay for your own needs, get a place of your own, and then enjoy meeting with your parent when you offer to go out with them or see them in the context of a family gathering or other things that normal families would do when they get together. You don't have to be the one that takes care of your mother in return for her saying, you don't need to go out in the world and make your living and find your own way and find your own friends and maybe a partner, because I'm going to take care of all your needs so you'll never leave me. That's the bad, unhealthy way. So, own expenses, own place, and then begin a different social relationship where it's based on meeting each other, enjoying a meal, a movie, a trip or something. But don't make it that you have to and that you owe it, and that if you didn't do it, your mother would be all alone and die of heartbreak. That's the guilt trip which we don't want, because that's putting you back into the codependent relationship. So I hope this gives you daughters who are having a difficult time separating from your mothers because of the codependent relationship you're in. I hope it gives you courage. I hope it encourages you to make the changes that you need to so that you can be who you are and blossom and shine, and let your mother be proud of you, because she should want you to have your own life and do well separately from her. And then if you want to take care of her, that's up to you, but it's on a piecemeal basis. It's not giving up your life to do it in return for never having to take care of yourself because she's meeting all your bills. So hopefully that helps. Let me know what your experiences are, what you've tried, all the different manipulations and maneuvers that go on between you and your mom. And I'll surely try and give you some pointers to manage them more effectively when I get your comments.